Hey guys! Welcome to Whispers of Turkish Stars. All the details are in our video. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and share the video before we dive in. Thank you so much for being here. This morning, the industry buzzed with a headline no one saw coming. Actress Alina, known for her quiet poise and thoughtful career choices, turned the script upside down by proposing to her longtime partner, actor Navruz. The moment her candid phrase, "I proposed," slipped into the public sphere, it ricocheted across timelines and group chats, landing squarely at the center of every conversation behind the scenes. What started as a whisper quickly became a wave, and as the day unfolded, tantalizing bits of context began to surface. Insiders paint a picture of a couple navigating an intense season. With both of them wrapped in demanding shoots and promotional cycles, their calendar rarely overlapped. They made a deliberate effort to keep their connection private, but distance crept in while each was on separate sets, often in different cities. Despite that, the pair were said to have approached these stretches with maturity and grace, refusing to let tabloids narrate their story. Friends close to them say they didn't break under pressure, instead, they learned to speak more honestly, even as the workload grew. To her inner circle, Alina reportedly confided something she'd been holding in for months. She was ready for the next chapter, and she didn't want to wait for someone else to decide what her timeline should be. "I know what I want," she said to have whispered over a late coffee, making clear that marriage wasn't a spontaneous idea but a long-standing thought that had slowly settled into certainty. That unwavering stance, the calm at the center of her storm, explains why she chose to take the lead. And the proposal itself? Forget fireworks and a room full of photographers. According to the chatter filtering through the gossip columns, Alina chose meaning over spectacle. She picked a spot tied to quiet memories, a corner of the city that had seen them slip away after late shoots, a place where laughter once echoed under soft streetlights. After a romantic dinner that felt like a deep exhale, she asked the question. No grand staging. No orchestra cue. Just her voice, steady yet hopeful. Witnesses don't exist, only confidence is exchanged later, but what's consistent is how deeply Alp was moved. He was touched, shaken in a gentle way, his surprise visible even to those who only heard about it secondhand. What he answered in that moment remains the guarded secret of two people who fiercely protect their privacy. There hasn't been an explicit statement from Alp. But the chorus from friends is that their relationship stands on strong ground. People who've watched them up close say he isn't resistant to marrying. He's simply cautious about the pace. In other words, the proposal may have arrived, but the reply is being considered with care. That dynamic, confident action met by thoughtful deliberation has ignited a wider debate. Online, the response split in two. Some applauded Alina's self-possession, calling her a modern woman who refuses to wait for permission to choose happiness. Others questioned whether laying something so intimate before the public would intensify the pressure on both of them. Yet Alina has never been one to perform by the old rulebook. She has consistently defied expectations about who speaks first and how loudly one's heart should be heard. Family perspectives, always the quiet force surrounding a couple, have reportedly been warm. Rumors say both sides appreciate the bond, and no one's shutting doors. The future, however, hinges on a decision only Alp can make. If he needs time, they'll give it space. If he steps forward, it will be on terms that feel real to both of them. But the proposal did more than spark celebration, it unearthed sensitive questions. At this stage of Alp's career, with scripts from abroad circling and the pull of international projects growing stronger, those closest to him wonder about timing. Is now the moment to define the rest of their lives? The story drifting from inner rooms says Alp expressed something candid. He's secure in what he feels for Alina, but he wants to be deliberate before signing up for a commitment as permanent as marriage. That conversation didn't send them to separate corners. If anything, it ushered in nights of long talks, careful listening, and honest admissions. Meanwhile, Alina isn't retreating. Her strength, the firm line she draws around her choices, remains intact. She's reportedly told friends, without bitterness or bravado, that she'd rather speak her truth and accept what follows. If the answer isn't what she hopes for, she'll carry herself forward, not out of coldness but because that is how she's learned to live. Fans call it courage. Critics call it audacity. Either way, the move has made people sit up. Their absence from public outings in recent weeks poured gasoline on a different rumor, that they might be finished. But those close to the situation are pushing back on that. The distance wasn't a battlefield, it was a retreat. They were thinking, calculating, respecting the magnitude of what comes next. Privacy, already a priority for both, has become essential now. Few are allowed close enough to guess what their faces look like when they're alone, staring at a future neither wants to rush and neither wants to lose. There's another detail spinning around in gossip circles that says a lot about who they are. If a wedding happens, it won't be a spectacle. The picture that keeps reappearing is a small, intimate gathering, something close-knit and quiet, away from the glare and noise. Those who've watched Alina's style evolve aren't surprised. Minimalism suits her. Grace over glitter. Meaning over volume. Nothing has been confirmed, but it tracks with the choices she's made in her work and life. All of this casts their relationship in a light that's refreshingly unsensational, even as it dominates the conversation. A proposal that flips convention. A lingering pause where the answer should be. A new round of statements everyone's waiting for. The spotlight may be bright, but their rhythm feels intentional, their steps measured. Friends insist that what we're seeing now is not chaos, it's the continuation of a dialogue the two have been having for a long time. This proposal, they say, isn't an impulse but the natural outcome of evenings spent envisioning the same path. They have talked, in detail, about building a life. They've discussed homes and schedules, even the future of their work if they split time between countries. The twist, of course, is that Alina was the one to formalize those talks by asking the question, a move that both surprised and impressed Alp. Word has filtered out that Alp has told people close to him how much he admires Alina's directness. Her fearlessness thrills him and sobers him in equal measure. Being with a woman this certain of herself is a real responsibility, he said in confidence, a sentence many interpret as a ring of promise, not a warning sign. It suggests that if he says yes, it will be with eyes open, with both heart and head aligned. Even their social media silence speaks a kind of language. Alina has shared subtle captions, phrases like choosing her own path, stepping without fear, and listening to what feels true without ever naming the moment. Her followers read between the lines, echoing her words back to her in the comments. Alp, for his part, has remained quieter than usual. That quiet, however, carries weight. He isn't a performer when it comes to his private life. The silence, ironically, has amplified curiosity. Colleagues who've worked with them describe a couple grounded in mutual respect. They don't throw tantrums at each other, and they don't take disagreements public. They talk. They stay calm. They let time cool hot feelings. That's why many close to the situation believe this is less a breakup cliff and more a bridge. Crossed carefully, it could lead them to a connection that's deeper, calmer, better anchored than before. The prevailing wisdom in the Whisper network is simple: this is a test, not a collapse. A test of patience. A test of values. A test of how two distinct careers can evolve without erasing the promise of a shared home. The result isn't written yet, and maybe that's why everyone can't look away. By late afternoon, more nuanced stories began to thread through the chatter. One suggested that Alina's proposal was timed after a week of small kindnesses: coffee left outside a trailer before dawn, a book passed between them with underlined sentences, a laugh they hadn't had time to share in months. Another claimed they revisited an old cafe where they used to steal an hour between scenes, a place that smelled of cardamom and wet stone after rain. Whether true or embroidered, the details all point in the same direction: intimacy built from the smallest things. If there's strain, it seems to come from the scale of the decision and the velocity of their world, not from doubt in their bond. Those who know them best describe Alina as steady and deliberate, someone who doesn't confuse momentum for meaning. They call Alp reflective and proud of his work, protective of the parts of his life that still belong only to him. Together, that makes a partnership that resists easy headlines, even as they generate some of the biggest ones of the year. Of course, opinions online continue to clash. Is it romantic or reckless to take a private truth and let it be seen? Should love be a whisper between two hearts or a declaration that rewrites standard roles? What matters is that for Alina, it was both. She didn't make a show of it. She simply refused to be quiet about what she knew. And for Alp, it appears the measure isn't public reaction, but whether the commitment fits squarely into a life he's still actively designing. As hours passed, a curious phrase kept surfacing from those closest to them: respect. She respects his need to think and to choose freely. He respects her clarity. It may not be the drama some expect, but it's the kind of tension that lasts, the kind that can strengthen a promise rather than fray it. Meanwhile, whispers about possible dates and venues are little more than fog. Some say spring, some say autumn, some imagine a garden, others a seaside terrace. What lands consistently is the vision of something slender and elegant, almost secret, witnessed by very few. A ceremony where vows are spoken softly, not shouted over applause. In the midst of all this speculation, one scene keeps replaying in recollections: after that dinner, after the question, they didn't rush. They sat, letting the night stretch, allowing whatever answer would come to emerge in its own time. No pressure. No agenda. Just an awareness that they had stepped into a new chapter, even if the title was still being chosen. Tonight, the city hums with theories, but the couple stays quiet. The people they trust won't break that silence. They'd rather keep their friendship than trade it for a few extra likes. The result is a kind of sanctuary built from restraint. That, more than anything, may be their secret. Where does this leave us? Watching, waiting, and perhaps learning something unexpected from two actors who refuse to play the parts written for them by tradition. Alina's decision wasn't designed to shock. It was meant to align her life with her heart. Alp's pause isn't a refusal. It's an insistence that the foundation be as solid as the bond. If they meet in the middle, the answer will arrive not with fanfare but with certainty. So here we are, poised between a question and its reply. The industry thinks this is the moment that will define them, but those who have seen them up close say their story has always been bigger than a headline. It's patience stitched to bravery. It's love filtered through honesty. It's two people deciding whether their futures, so bright on their own, might shine brighter together. We'll keep listening for the subtle signals. A shared appearance that says more than words, a caption that quietly shifts tone, a ring that maybe appears without announcement. Until then, the only truth we have is that Alina Boz and Alp Navruz have stepped into rare air, a place where a modern proposal isn't a stunt, but a sign that the heart has learned how to speak for itself. This is where we wrap it for tonight. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to subscribe to Whispers of Turkish Stars and share the video. We'll be watching with you, and when there's more to tell, you'll hear it here first.